Hey guys, this is chapter 15 of The Science of Getting Rich, and I will read the text first and then have commentary after. Chapter 15, The Advancing Man. What I have said in the last chapter applies as well to the professional man and the wage earner as to the man who is engaged in mercantile business. No matter whether you are a physician, a teacher, or a clergyman, if you can give increase of life to others and make them sensible of the fact, they will be attracted to you and you will get rich. The physician who holds the vision of himself as a great and successful healer and who works toward the complete realization of that vision with faith and purpose, as described in former chapters, will come into such close touch with the source of life that he will be phenomenally successful. Patients will come to him in throngs. No one has a greater opportunity to carry into effect the teachings of this book than the practitioner of medicine. It does not matter to which of the various schools he may belong, for the principle of healing is common to all of them, and may be reached by all alike. The advancing man in medicine, who holds to a clear mental image of himself as successful, and who obeys the laws of faith, purpose, and gratitude, will cure every curable case he undertakes, no matter what remedies he may use. In the field of religion, the world cries out for the clergyman who can teach his hearers the true science of abundant life. He who masters the details of the science of getting rich, together with the allied sciences of being well, of being great, and of winning love, and who teaches these details from the pulpit, will never lack for a congregation. This is the gospel that the world needs. It will give increase of life, and men will hear it gladly and will give liberal support to the man who brings it to them. What is now needed is a demonstration of the science of life from the pulpit. We want preachers who can not only tell us how, but who in their own persons will show us how. We need the preacher who will himself be rich, healthy, great, and beloved to teach us how to attain these things. And when he comes, he will find a numerous and loyal following. The same is true of the teacher who can inspire the children with the faith and purpose of the advancing life. He will never be out of a job. And any teacher who has this faith and purpose can give it to his pupils. He cannot help giving it to them if it is part of his own life and practice. What is true of the teacher, preacher, and physician is true of the lawyer, dentist, real estate man, insurance agent, of everybody. The combined mental and personal action I have described is infallible. It cannot fail. Every man and woman who follows these instructions steadily, perseveringly, and to the letter will get rich. The law of the increase of life is as mathematically certain in its operation as the law of gravitation. Getting rich is an exact science. The wage earner will find this as true of his case as of any of the others mentioned. Do not feel that you have no chance to get rich because you are working where there is no visible opportunity for advancement, where wages are small and the cost of living is high. Form your clear mental vision of what you want and begin to act with faith and purpose. Do all the work that you can do every day, and do each piece of work in a perfectly successful manner. Put the power of success and the purpose to get rich into everything that you do. But do not do this merely with the idea of currying favor with your employer in the hope that he, or those above you, will see your good work and advance you. It is not likely that they will do so. The man who is merely a good workman, filling his place to the very best of his ability, and satisfied with that, is valuable to his employer, and it is not to the employer's interest to promote him. He is worth more where he is. To secure advancement, something more is necessary than to be too large for your place. The man who is certain to advance is the one who is too big for his place and who has a clear concept of what he wants to be, who knows that he can become what he wants to be, and who is determined to be what he wants to be. Do not try to more than fill your present place with a view to pleasing your employer. Do it with the idea of advancing yourself. Hold the faith and purpose of increase during work hours, after work hours, and before work hours. Hold it in such a way that every person who comes in contact with you, whether foreman, fellow worker, or social acquaintance, will feel the power of purpose radiating from you, so that everyone will get the sense of advancement and increase from you. Men will be attracted to you, and if there is no possibility for advancement in your present job, you will very soon see an opportunity to take another job. There is a power which never fails to present opportunity to the advancing man who is moving in obedience to law. God cannot help helping you if you act in a certain way. He must do so in order to help himself. There is nothing in your circumstances or in the industrial situation that can keep you down. If you cannot get rich working for the Steel Trust, you can get rich on a 10-acre farm. And if you begin to move in a certain way, you will certainly escape from the clutches of the Steel Trust and get onto the farm or wherever else you wish to be. If a few thousand of its employees would enter upon the certain way, the Steel Trust would soon be in a bad plight. It would have to give its working men more opportunity or go out of business. Nobody has to work for a trust. The trust can keep men in so-called hopeless conditions, only so long as there are men who are too ignorant to know of the science of getting rich, or too intellectually slothful to practice it. Begin this way of thinking and acting, and your faith and purpose will make you quick to see any opportunity to better your condition. Such opportunities will speedily come, for the Supreme, working in all and working for you, will bring them before you. Do not wait for an opportunity to be all that you want to be. When an opportunity to be more than you are now is presented and you feel impelled toward it, take it. It will be the first step toward a greater opportunity. There is no such thing possible in this universe as a lack of opportunities for the man who is living the advancing life. It is inherent in the constitution of the cosmos that all things shall be for him and work together for his good. And he must certainly get rich if he acts and thinks in the certain way. So let wage-earning men and women study this book with great care and enter with confidence upon the course of action it prescribes. It will not fail. So that's chapter 15, and again, this chapter is really persuading you to move your attention away from lack and put it onto abundance. Move it away from all the reasons that you have that you will fail, and focus on this feeling of success and carry it with you all the time. If you're in one of these groups that, specifically right now I'm thinking of the people that are in their 20s right now who want to buy a house, and the housing prices are insane. And, I see this all over the place, that there's just no opportunity for people to get things that they want, like that there's a societal keeping down of a certain group of people. Turn your attention away from this. If what you want is to buy a house and have enough money for that, you know what you want, and that's what to keep in mind with the intention of having it and the faith that you will have it. Like he's saying here, people are not kept down as a class by what appears to be the reason that they're being kept down. It's because they're ignorant of these mental principles, essentially. And the focus stays on lack, and the situation stays the same. Society goes through these phases, and this current situation, obviously, where people are viewing a lot of lack from certain classes, it can't stand it. It always changes. Something comes about to change it, and it's enough people getting this mentality that ends up bringing about change on a grand scale. So it starts with you, and certainly I would think it's easier to believe or understand how a singular opportunity could come to you because of your mentality than to think, the whole housing situation, for example, is going to change so that housing is affordable for everybody. That's where you get lost in the weeds and you start losing your faith and losing your vision. Focus on yourself only. Focus on taking on everything he's talking about here, the way of thinking here. And you'll see how it works for you, and then you'll understand how it works for everybody. And that's really it. Don't get sidetracked by all these employees. The things he's talking about here, the things he's mentioned in this book, they've been proven over time. What he's saying is proven over time. In an earlier chapter, he was saying, don't focus on the child labor and the the poor working conditions in these companies, those things have changed. Those things have, there have been movements there, which is basically the movement is just enough people got it that this thing was going to change, and they were determined this thing was going to change. They decided that they were going to be successful, and enough people got to that point where it was a tipping point, and child labor got outlawed, and regulations for factories came into place. Unions formed, things like that. That's what happens when enough people catch this mentality, and so it starts with you, and being dejected or distracted by the fact that you feel maybe that you're part of this large group of people that are being kept down in some way, or that have been screwed by the boomers or whatever. Just drop that. Drop it entirely. That's competitive mind. That's not creative mind. Creative mind doesn't give a shit about what the boomers did. And then I also wanted to say one other thing here. He says, to follow this, if a few thousand of its employees would enter upon the certain way, the Steel Trust would soon be in a bad plight. It would have to give its working men more opportunity or go out of business. Nobody has to work for a trust. The trust can keep men in so-called hopeless conditions only so long as there are men who are too ignorant to know of the science of getting rich, or too intellectually slothful to practice it. Begin this way of thinking and acting, and your faith and purpose will make you quick to see any opportunity to better your condition. This, like everything else, all the videos on my YouTube channel recently especially, this is about perception largely. What having this mentality does is it removes all these thoughts of, I'm never going to get this, I'm never going to be able to break out of this situation I'm in, I'm screwed, I'm not talented or good enough to do this thing. What it does is it removes all of that. And what that is doing is it's like a big greasy fingerprint just sitting right in front on your lens, right in front of all the opportunities that would bring you right out of that would advance you. And it's like washing that fingerprint off the lens. And the thing that was there all along, you'll see, or a thing that presents itself that you would otherwise miss will be seen by you. And then you'll also have the right mentality to act on it. This completely changes your life. There's no comparison. There's no substitute. This totally changes your life, thinking like this. And then all of a sudden, it seems like things are happening. Things have always been happening. There have always been people that you were talking to that you had a conversation with somebody, and thanks to your mentality, you didn't stumble on a topic that would have led you to an opportunity, that would have led you to something that you want. That's really what's happening here. And here Wallace Waddell says it. And he says it flat out. Begin this way of thinking and acting, and your faith and purpose will make you quick to see any opportunity to better your condition. When you believe that there are opportunities everywhere for business, you see them. I see them all the time. This is one thing that I don't have an issue with. I see more business opportunities than I could ever take in my lifetime. Just sitting there. It's crazy. I mean, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. When you're not thinking everything's been cornered, the market's been cornered on everything, I could never have my own successful business. And this is just pertaining to this book. I'm only bringing that up because of this book, and because I actually have, I'm engaged in mercantile business, as he says in the first line. I see them everywhere, but it doesn't apply just to business. They're everywhere for whatever you want. The opportunities to have relationships that are fulfilling are everywhere. Look around you. I mean, there's so many people. It's like, the opportunities are just never ending, but whatever you're thinking about them, that you're thinking about in the wrong way, that is preventing you from, it's preventing your eye from being caught by the right person. And the same thing for anything, literally anything that you want, that you're not feeling this way toward, that you're not acting in this certain way about. If you're not acting in a certain way about anything that you want, you can be absolutely sure that the negative thoughts that you're having about that thing, the unproductive thoughts that you're having about that thing, are blocking your vision. They're blocking you from seeing the opportunities that are always around and always presenting themselves over and over again. It's like he says, there's no lack. When you're on the creative plane, there's no time running out. There's no, that was my last opportunity. It just doesn't exist. That's a part of the creative mind. And so the opportunities are always coming, and it doesn't matter if you feel like you blew the best opportunity of your life. Your mind is going to be blown by how an even better one that has even more stuff that you never could have even imagined that you wanted shows up as soon as you get into this mind and stay there, this mentality and stay there. So that's all I've got to say about chapter 15. I will be back with chapter 16 shortly.